welcome to another episode of Minds with the Spectre. Tonight we're going to be coming to you from a slightly different location. We're at our home gaming store, Crossroad Games in Standish, Maine. We wanted to take some time and really sit down with you this evening after we got our games in. Some death on one side of the table, some glory on the other, and a lot of mayhem around every table that's here at Crossroad Games every night. So come join us on Wednesday nights at Crossroad Games. We're happy to challenge you and take on any and all comers and videotape it for posterity, or trash it if you
Starter Box!
This is our first segment here, the Starter Box. This is one of our normal formats, and this is where we kind of like to start our videos. Things that are coming up, things we're working on, projects, and new stuff in our repertoire of games. This time, we've actually got kind of excited about, well, we're re-excited about the game. We tried it out when it first came out. Privateer Press started their new game, War Machine. And that was sitting in our gaming collection for a little bit, collecting dust. But the new Hordes series has come out, and the new releases for that, that's generated some interest. So Spectre Studios is taking a stab again at War Machines and Hordes. Spectre Senensei, what do you got going on in the starter box for you?
Yeah, so I picked up the starter box, and I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like. Alright, Spectre Senensei back here again, part of Starter Box. Kind of want to show you what we're doing for Spectre Studio. We have decided, because of the popularity of the system that they've competed with Games Workshop, we're going to go into Privateer Press's War Machine and Hordes. I actually have a Khador faction already kind of started back in the time when it first had been released. So I decided I'm going to go and pick up the starter box set to get me into the Horde system. My faction will be the Legion for Everblight, so I picked up the Army rulebook there for that. So I'm a novice at the Hordes thing, have never played it, never experienced it, only the battle reports I've seen on the online. So I like the setup so far. I've got everything kind of displayed out. They have a small, great rulebooks. These are great for tabletop systems. A couple advertisements, promotion to their No Quarter magazine, which I hear is awesome from our hobby shop standards and what the guy there tells me about. We've got the cards. They keep track of all the information, so a very convenient system. If you've ever seen Privateer Presses, is very nice. This is the first time I ever got into one of their starter box sets, so I was really liking that everything is kind of broken apart and nicely packaged, cleaned off of plastic sprues before you even. So this is a really good introduction to beginners for a set. Most times, especially from like other companies, you pretty much get these sprues that you basically have to do a lot of taking apart. The other one I would say would be different would be Fantasy Flight's Dust Tactics, having a lot more pre-prepped miniatures ready to go up and play right off the bat. So this is a good system, not the best, but obviously very good for anyone who's looking to get started and having very low hobby skills. They've set things pretty well aside for you to get you into the hobby pretty well. So you can look forward to this. It's going to take me a bit to paint this. Spectre Foreman's going to be taking over the Circle of Ouroboros. So I will be running the Legion of Everblight. I'm going to paint all these two armies for us, and hopefully we'll be able to get a battle report down for you guys. But you can look forward to Privateer Press and coming to Spectre Studios. That's our part in Spectre in Starbucks. All right. And so that's what we got going on with that. And you're going to be taking over a part of that in the Starbucks.
I will be taking over Circle Ouroboros.
Yeah, Ouroboros or something like that.
I believe that's how it's pronounced. I haven't really had a chance to look it over too much. Just done a little bit of internet research, so I definitely got to do more to find out their play style and how to play them. But they look really cool, so that's what I'm excited about. Druids and kind of werewolves, and I'm always been very interested in Celtic history and lore, so it kind of pulls at those strings, and I'm excited to play them. I think that was the only way to get me into a new game, really, was to have something that really piques my interest. Like,
yeah, as a Tyranid
like
player,
those.
the big gnashing teeth from the little shredder things was a quick draw for me. I like that. And then come to find out, the Legion of Everblight is from a dead dragon who's corrupted dark elves and ogres and the stuff around. So I'm pretty cool about this. So I'm interested to see how Hordes plays. Like you said, I played War Machine in the past, so to learn about Fury will be different. We'll see how that works itself out, but it'll be interesting. Yeah, I'm really cool about getting this up. So I'm gonna paint both of our armies, and as soon as we get that done, we'll lead into a little bat rep.
I've actually also picked up a couple blisters so far. I'm going to put together a little force of the minions, which are kind of the mercenaries of the Hordes world. I'm going to be doing the Blindwater Congregation, the Gatormen, Lizard Folk, Frog Folk, that kind of thing. A little bit different, and I'm just a little bit off to the side.
This is just a battle with the girly elves to bog redneck Gatormen.
Actually, I'm dipping into your box of toys, Spectre Sensei, and I'm actually going with the undead faction of Blindwater Congregation.
Whoa.
So a little
Corruption.
No, a little bit of mirrored flip-flop here, where you're actually playing something living this time.
So far, yeah.
Yeah, and then I'll be playing some of the undead stuff, and so we're going to be looking forward to that, and we're going to be throwing down a number of battle reports for you to watch and get an idea as we get an idea of how the game plays. Privateer Press, one of the biggest competitors right now of Games Workshop, so a lot of players are heading that way, looking at the system and really seeing a lot of benefit and a lot of play in all their new models. So that's definitely something we're looking forward to, and that is what we have right now in our in this month's starter box.
Messaging on the comm.
All right, and now for On the Comm, our segment about what's coming up, what we're doing, things that are happening right now around the community. Something that we really are interested in right now, and it shows a really great aspect of the hobby. Anytime you have a community of people that are really interested in working with the community or with the greater community at large, you always get some kind of donations or charities. So here at our local gaming store, Crossroad Games, we've actually developed time to play as well as donate to our local food bank. So recently we had a great big apocalypse event as a food drive, allowing for the use of canned goods and other donated foods to provide different benefits and rerolls on the table while playing the game. So not only were we playing, but we were also generating food donations for the local food banks by letting players gain benefits by donating the cans or spending them as they went through the game. So we played one apocalypse event, and with the December coming up, we have another tournament scheduled where the benefits are going to be on the table as well for donating foods. I'm going to be participating in that one, I think, if I can get the time, and that will be something I think will be really fun. It's going to be different benefits for different types of foods. Jars of peanut butter are the big things for this one. They're going to be generating automatic successes, defense against psychic powers, a number of different effects for the expensive foods that are going to be donated, especially peanut butter. We've already had one event. Spectre Sensei spent some time bringing his Air Force to the table with his Imperial Guard, and he'd like to give you an idea about what went on with that and how things went for him. So Spectre Sensei, what was your experience with this food drive that you participated in?
Well, it was definitely pretty fun throwing out. I threw in the Imperial Guard. I had mentioned a couple times before I got a hold of some extra flyers, which are Valkyries. So I got them together, painted them up pretty well, and add them out there. So I had 6 flyers. Up top of playing Hippie that one time in a bat rep that was close to that. But I had now more flyers, and that was just the goal. So I showed up, 3,000 points, mostly flyers. Of course, the Hellhammer, super heavy tank. I was just ready to kind of hit some things, and 3 Punisher tanks. I was just ready to shred things apart. So that was cool. Here's a good little picture of some of those flyers hitting the table. And so it was really good fun playing all that. Unfortunately, after I showed at the table, there was only a few of us that were really kind of here, so I ended up having to double my force org. So I had 6,000 points in my Imperial Guard, which you've seen in my showcase army, was like, oh my god. So I played a lot of rounds. I got tired. It was a lot of Imperial Guard stuff, but it was fun. The rerolls helped with the cans. We had a lot of little fun seeing how many cans we got donated. So the local charity got quite a bit because Imperial Guard and Orc shooting definitely needed those can rerolls. So we had a good time with that.
Excellent. Hopefully we'll have a chance to talk with Dave for a moment. He was one of the organizers of the event, and maybe he can give us a little bit of information about how much we actually generated, what kind of numbers and how many cans were used. And of course, that'll also tell us how many people are getting rerolls and that kind of thing. So hopefully, we can scare Dave up here for a little bit of a report on that soon. And let's see if we can find it.
So for the canned food drive, so far for November, we made 656 donations, or 657 donations, in a combination of canned and dried goods, non-perishables. And we're starting into our food drive for December, of which we have one so far, but it just started, you know, it's not even December yet, so we have one can jump. And the big kickoff for that will be the 40K tournament next week, where on the events page on Facebook, there's all the who's and whats of how much goodies you get from game mechanics wise for donating. Things like the big ones are like peanut butter and like multiple can donations. So overall, quite a big success for our first go round of it.
All right, thank you very much for letting us know what Crossroads is doing and the donations, and for people just playing a fun little miniature game.
All right, thanks, Dave, for that report on the donations and results of the Apocalypse event. We look forward to the December 15th tournament and the food drive that we're going to do there. What that brings us next to in this segment of On the Comm is the Chaos Codex. It's been in play a while. We've certainly seen a lot of chaos hitting the table. In fact, Spectre Foreman over here has been the dominating chaos force for the Spectre Studio participation, and as well as placing a hefty win column in Crossroad Games itself with his chaos forces. So give us an idea of what you, now having played the Codex, feel about it, what it's working for you, how it's really playing out.
Well, I've had some mixed results. 2-2. Got 2 wins, 2 losses. It's definitely a challenge starting a new army where I didn't have any of it before. I hadn't done that since I first started with Vanilla Marines. But it's been a bit of a challenge, especially in getting an army painted and table ready so we can do some bat reps, which I have been working on. I now have 3 regular Chaos Marine squads all painted up and ready to go, and Lord and Power Armor Sorcerer and the Terminator Sorcerer are all done. Working on the Helldrake, painting that is a challenge, to say the least. There's a lot of parts and details to that. That's a tough one. And then I also have the Forge Fiend to paint and a bunch of cultists. I actually bought a lot of cultists, so I have 60 cultists right now looking to paint, which is a pretty daunting thing to look at on your painting table. But I'll eventually work my way through those. As far as what I've liked about it, and about the Codex and things that have worked and haven't worked, the Helldrake is amazing. That can just blow away any Marine save squads, which is very nice. And then having some mixed results with the regular Chaos Marine troopers, trying to figure out how to make them work for me. There's a lot of different ways you can run them with just the bolt guns and then 2 special weapons, or just close combat weapons and the different marks. It's been a real challenge because of all the variation, which is good. Something I'm definitely not complaining about, all the options you have, but trying to figure out what works well for me and my playstyle has been a challenge. The Lord with the Axe of Blind Fury is pretty awesome, but getting him into close combat has been a challenge thus far in my games. Things I'd like to get to round out the army, because what I have right now doesn't really fill out a complete all-around list. Bikers are awesome in this new Codex, so I'm definitely going to be looking to add some of those, and possibly some spawn. Those are some of the units that I'm looking to add to fill out what I have now, and maybe some Terminators, because I like Terminators. Whether they're super effective or not, I like them, so I will be getting.
They're pretty good in this edition now.
Absolutely, and as you said, you're learning how they play for you and how you can make them work for you. I think that's a challenge everybody's experiencing right now in 6th edition. And of course, with a brand new codex, you've got to figure out new rules and a new codex. One of the things that we mentioned before that was starting to throw a curve to some people was the Warlord traits. You were mentioning that the Chaos Codex provides you with several new Warlord traits.
Yeah, they have 6 Warlord traits that are unique to the Codex, as opposed to the ones that are in the main rulebook. And then some of the special characters automatically come with one, so you don't even have to roll and see which random one you're going to get. And that has been, it's kind of thrown a little bone of contention into the local gaming scene, because Warlord traits have been kind of a thing that nobody wanted to do. Nobody wanted to play with Warlord traits because either they were getting ones that didn't benefit them, and the other player maybe got something that really did benefit them, so it was souring them on it. But having a codex that has their own inbuilt ones and special characters that come with one, which are part of their points cost and what they're built to do. Like here on Blackheart has D3 units infiltrate. That's a pretty integral, big part of why you'd want to pick them even. And so if you're not playing with Warlord traits in these house rules, it kind of really affects how you're playing the codex. And as we see more codexes come out with their own tables as well, it'll definitely push it to play with it. But it's getting over the initial hurdle.
Yeah, and we hope that Games Workshop follows through and does the same thing with other new codexes as well. I mean, they could just drop the ball and not include those in.
No, I definitely think they're coming with that theme, and it must be. I mean, it makes it more fun to use a trait that's kind of new and different to kind of change up your one model. I mean, that was the whole content of the Warlord trait, was to get something different. It sucked when you got to use this one. It didn't do anything, but now it's cool to get a codex that's actually going to help you out. So.
Although, like the Grey Knight Codex, they had some special characters that had similar abilities. They weren't called Warlord traits.
Well, the Grandmasters, yeah, they could do some changing.
So there was a little bit, I guess, of forethought in that regards to like the Grey Knights Codex starting that kind of trend.
Yeah, I guess in a lot of trade they could be considered similar with
yeah. So maybe Games Workshop was thinking ahead a little bit when it was finishing up 5th edition. And you also were talking about what was it? The Helldrake, the Warlord traits, and then there was
the Boon of Mutation.
Oh, the boons.
Boon table is there's definitely some things that are pretty awesome in there, but it's all random, so it's just a fun little thing that they throw in.
Does it make you feel villainous with them though? Like your sergeant has to come up and say, "We'll throw them down." The gauntlet.
Yeah, that's the champion chaos where they have to issue and accept challenges. But if they do win or they kill another character, they get that little extra roll, which is fun. It can be beneficial. In one game, I turned into Demon Prince, so it was pretty cool. But the actual game effects weren't as awesome because I was playing against one of my losses against Pal with IG allies, and so there was quite a large number of railguns in there. So when I turned into a Demon Prince, I was automatically on my own with just the 5+ invulnerable and a lot of being toughness 5 with a lot of strength 10 weapons coming my way.
I could see it as
did
a
not
monster
last.
though. In the standoff, I ran into Typhus and we kind of went past the round thing, but we wanted to kind of see, and Typhus went through my Dark Eldar army. Because I was feeding him the sergeant characters and all that stuff, he got an insane amount of boons. So I could see definitely where you can get this to be a monstrosity. He had like plus strength, attacks, he was going crazy, and I was like, I thought it was kind of fun. It was neat.
Yeah, there's definitely some very cool things in there. It's just a fun little random thing to throw in there. It's not really off game breaking on its own, but it's just a fun thing to see what you can, what kind of crazy shenanigans you can get. There's definitely some bad things. You don't want your Abaddon to turn into a spawn. Yeah. Make you cry, but it's a possibility. It could happen.
So a little bit of inbuilt chaos on the table there for the army. Yeah. Imagine that. Chaos in the Chaos Army.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. So that is really what we're looking at the Chaos Codex. You'll see more bat reps coming up in the future as Spectre Foreman finishes up his paint jobs and gets them on the table for us to tape. But that right now is what we've got on the comm.
Woo! We're in the drop zone!
All right. And now, in the drop zone. What we've got coming up, a few different projects. We're excited for stuff that's going to be coming forward in the future on the video for you to peruse from the Spectre Studios. First up, Spectre Sensei and Spectre Foreman are going to be throwing down in several starter box bat reps of the Hordes starter box. They've taken each side, the Circle Ouroboros and the Legion of Everblight, and they're going to be putting it on the table for you to see as the starter box comes out, give you an idea of what you can get in the basic box for play and how it can build into your hobby. So that's something that we're going to be looking forward to fairly soon. Spectre Sinense is going to be throwing some paint at that, and it's going to come out great. And as soon as that is done, they're going to be putting down for a couple of battles. So look for us and the videos coming up. The next thing we want to mention in the drop zone is a little venture that we're going to try. Spectre Studios wants to get old school, and we've been talking about going back to Space Hulk, the old Space Hulk box set that came out, as well as the second and third edition of it that we're excited has been reproduced by Games Workshop. What we're really looking at doing, I think, is each one of the Spectre Studios members is going to be custom building their own Terminators for...
Not me.
That's because he's a bug. And we're going to be throwing down, in a couple of Got Tabled episodes, Spectre Studio events, only Spectre Studio players here, as we bring custom paint job Terminators and custom paint job bugs to the vast Space Hulks of the Imperium.
And our first venture into possibly getting Spectre Studio with stop motion. And because most of the Spectres are Lannis members, some of these people can relate to that part of it. Could be a little voice acting to these Marines. So this is going to be a unique Got Tabled episode, but it's going to have some showcase of all the Terminators that we have, and these Spectres are going to have to act. Look out, guys.
The other thing that we're also going to be doing is each Terminator is going to be a custom Terminator representing our own chapters of Space Marines that we've all been playing over the years. We've got Dark Angels, Space Wolves, we've got the Blood Angels, the Death Spectres. One of the treats that you'll see from our master painter, Spectre Ames, is his Guinness Legion. You can expect to see his work on the table and his Terminators. And beyond that, there's going to be lots of bugs. It's going to start with 1, and then be 2, and 3, and 4, as we lose Terminators and gain bugs. If you're not familiar with Space Hulk, it is an individual model game. It's not a skirmish game. It's not a battle game. It represents a single squad exploring the vast wrecked ships and Space Hulks left behind in the Imperium, either from warp storms or Tyranid asteroids or those kinds of things. So it represents a single squad exploring the ruins of these vast floating derelicts in space. So Terminators, because of their enclosed armor and environmentally sealed, are the only figures on the table for the good guys. Each individual is an individual. It's a single Terminator. I believe we're going to be playing 2 each, probably, for the numbers of the game. And then, of course, Spectre Sinense's Tyranids, which, as you may have noticed, is one of his master armies. It is won repeatedly throughout the decades of play. Will be opposing us in these derelict spacecraft. So he'll be bringing the bugs, and we'll be squashing the bugs. So that is also in the drop zone, and we're looking forward to bringing that to you in a special format, as Spectre Sinense said. The other thing that we've got coming up is something that's a little different. You may have looked on the internet, not been able to find it, or what you did find you really didn't like. Battle reports for HeroClix. With the addition of Spectre Patriot to our studio, we are bringing on a heavy HeroClix expert and enthusiast, bringing a lot of passion in that area of gameplay. I myself have a small HeroClix collection from way back in the day, in the original incarnation, which I'm told they suck, so I can't play them against Spectre Patriot because he'll just wipe me off the table. So he's going to graciously provide figures for me to use, and look for the near future for seeing some HeroClix battle reports. We're going to start with Batman, since that's one of the most recent movies that's come out, and that's one of the current HeroClix runs that's in production. And moving on from that, we'll be moving into the Avengers and the X-Men and all the Marvel stuff as well. So DC, Marvel, HeroClix, definitely keep an eye out. We're going to be bringing more to you as the battle reports grow.
End of story.
And that is in the drop zone.
All he needs to do.